It's time now on the programme for some business news, and I'm joined here in the studio by Yuka Roya. Yuka, good morning.
Hi, Nadia.
You're going to be starting us off then with this mega trial opening here in Paris today against a Swiss bank.
That's right, and that bank is UBS. The Swiss giant goes on trial in Paris this afternoon, accused of helping rich clients dodge taxes. Bankers used tactics described by prosecutors as worthy of James Bond. They organised golf tournaments and hunting outings to encourage wealthy clients to stash money in Switzerland. They used business cards without the bank's logo and regularly switched hotels to avoid being detected. The long-running case has seen the bank reach a settlement with US authorities to avoid prosecution, but negotiations with French authorities have failed. Luke Schrager reports.
A year and a half after failing to agree on a settlement with French prosecutors, UBS is going to trial over allegations the Swiss banking giant helped wealthy clients evade taxes. Charges include illegal banking practices, aggravated money laundering and tax fraud, with the bank's French subsidiary also on trial for complicity. Along with other European Union member states, France has been pursuing a policy encouraging taxpayers to come forward over previously undeclared assets held abroad. According to prosecutors, staff approached wealthy French clients, trying to convince them to hide money in Switzerland. They wanted UBS to stump up €1.1 billion to settle the matter in early 2017, though the bank pushed for a figure closer to $300 million, a sum it paid German authorities in 2014 over a similar investigation into whether it helped German clients evade taxes. In March last year, UBS stated that going to trial would allow it to respond to the accusations, though if it loses, any fine under French law could amount to half the sum illegally handled, up to nearly €5 billion.
Next, China's central bank has stepped up moves to pump more money into the economy. It announced on Sunday a steep cut in the level of cash that banks must hold as reserves. The aim is to help spur growth as concerns mount over the impact of the ongoing trade dispute with the United States. It's the fourth time the People's Bank of China has cut the reserve requirement ratio this year. Starting October the 15th, it will be reduced by 1 percentage point from the current 15.5% or 13.5% for smaller banks. Now, despite the central bank's announcement, Chinese stocks tumbled this Monday after a week-long holiday. Let's take a look at the figures now. And as you can see, Shanghai Composite down almost 3% a little earlier. Tokyo's Nikkei is closed for a bank holiday. Earlier, we spoke to Stephen Innes, head of trading Asia at Owanda in Singapore, who explained why stocks fell in China despite the central bank's move.
I think what we're seeing and what we saw late in the week last week was the fact that we're getting rotation out of equity markets into the higher yielding bond markets, and that seems to be carrying on. But the big concern right now is this risk aversion that's escalating because of US-China trade tensions. You couple that with higher US yields, and that just spells trouble. That's increased volatility all over it. And I think this is why investors in equity markets in particular are taking a very defensive posture in Asia early this morning.
Well, let's take a look at some more business headlines at this hour for you. And Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says he would welcome Britain into the Trans-Pacific Partnership with open arms. He made the remark in an interview with the Financial Times. TPP is a wide-ranging trade pact between 11 countries. Theresa May's government has said one of the main economic benefits of Brexit would be the freedom for the UK to strike new trade deals outside the EU. But its ability to do so would still depend on the outcome of negotiations with Brussels. French energy giant Total has signed new deals with Algeria's state-owned Sonatrach, including a contract to develop a new gas field. The two firms will develop the reserves of ERG Issouan in Algeria, estimated at 1 million barrels of oil equivalent. Total is set to invest €350 million into the project. A French court is set to rule on who will take over the remainder of Toys R Us France. 3 offers have been made. The company had 53 shops in the country, but went into administration following the bankruptcy of its parent company in the US. Around 200 employees are awaiting the court's decision. Now, staying in France, the government would block a foreign power from gaining control of its airports, according to the country's economy minister. Bruno Le Maire says the government will move against the foreign takeover of ADP, the company that operates 3 airports in Paris. Last week, French lawmakers gave the green light for the possible privatization of ADP as part of President Emmanuel Macron's plan to reduce debt. The French state currently owns a majority stake in the company. Le Maire also said the state will have the last word on who might be ADP's principal shareholder.
Yuka, thank you. Yuka Roy there with our business updates this hour on the programme.